like to introduce the mayor of the city of Hermosa Beach. And by the way, the mayor and council have been very instrumental in bringing this thing together and very, very supportive of the idea of the event and the staff that puts it together. And I want to acknowledge those folks. There's Kit Bobko, who is the mayor over here. Aloha shorts. Where's your lay? Got to get you laid today, buddy. We have two outstanding individuals to induct onto the Walk of Fame today. In introducing the first one with giving a little bit of historical background, our two gentlemen, longtime friends that were asked by our inductee Bob Hogan to make a few remarks. I'd like to introduce them at the present time. I'd like Greg Knoll to kind of step forward. Greg Knoll, a member of the Walk of Fame. Famous. Greg Knoll started making surfboards at 18th and Palm in Manhattan Beach. Dirtied a lot of laundry, he said. The shavings of balsa wood boards flew out of his garage and into the laundry of neighbors that probably weren't very happy in those days. But Greg, as you all know, is the Bull. An unbelievably talented and courageous surfer. Before they did the drive-in surfing, before the jet ski had been invented or the wave runner, he was the one that was paddling into 40-foot faces and making it. Well, okay, 39 feet. I almost decapitated him in the winter of 1960 at Waimea Bay. I lost aboard. Bud Brown made a big deal about it. Greg hasn't talked to me since, but hopefully today we can patch things up. Anyway, Greg Knoll is going to be assisted by Don McPherson. Where's Don? Come on up here, Don. They've got some things to talk about and tell you about Bob Hogan, and I'm going to turn it over to those guys right now. Greg? Oh, they're going to argue who gets to talk to.
Let me stand behind this thing so they can't see my stomach. I'm not real good at speeches, but Bob Hogan is one of my lifelong friends, so I figured I got to do my best here. So Hogan, as we used to call him, the Hog. I forgot what the hell I was going to say.
Yeah.
This is why I don't like to give speeches. I remember. Now that I see the mayor, thank you to the mayor, to Steve, and to Lisa for all their hard work in putting this together. It's really nice. You know, when we were a kid, as surfers, we were thought of more like the plague or a disease, and the cops would like to eradicate us or discover some new penicillin that would make us go away. But anyway, Bob Hogan, when I grew up at the Manhattan Pier, I started surfing with Bing Copeland. I was 11 and Bing was 12. And there was two really good surfers at the pier. One was Dale Valsey, and the other one was Bob Hogan. And Valsey was, for the most part, was out driving hot rods and chasing good-looking girls, which left Bing and I and Hogan in the water most of the time. We could go down there on rainy days or stormy days or good surf, and the three of us would generally be spending our time in the water as much as possible. As time went by, Bob took on the lifeguard service. I was working for the lifeguard service. I started going to the islands, and I remember coming back one year, and Bob was all excited about telling me about this place called Lanata Bay. And he said, oh, they got some big waves up there. I didn't believe it. I just got through surfing the North Shore, and so there was a good north swell on, and we went up there, and I was really surprised. And so Bob Hogan was the first guy to ride and discover Lanata Bay. He spent most of the winter surfing it by himself because nobody go out on a bigger swell. So the guy can surf small waves, big waves. He did it all. He was also single-handedly instrumental for putting together the Manhattan Beach to Catalina race, which is still going strong today, and I think that's a pretty neat accomplishment right there. The Hog gives new meaning to being an individual. He did things on his own terms. As he was working for the lifeguard service, he told me, I'm going to build a boat in my backyard. And I thought, okay. Well, 3 or 4 years went by, and he invited Bing and I to come up and watch him haul his boat out of his backyard. There was a 1/4 inch clearance between the 2 houses. It was just the planning and dedication that went into building this beautiful boat was unreal. So he piled his family, he had kids by then, he piled his family on the boat and all his possessions and took off, and we didn't see him for 3 or 4 years. He sailed the entire South Pacific, giving his kids a home education that was probably better than the ones they get in a local school. So he's an incredible individual, and and he's been an incredible friend over the years. I forgot to mention too that he's a really good artist, does the most beautiful ocean paintings you've ever seen. So with that, I don't know what the hell else I can say about you, man, other than I love you, and he's a good man. And I would like to say one thing for a friend of mine. He's too shy to submit his accomplishments, but there's a guy by the name of Wally Milliken who spent 20 years surfing right here and influencing a lot of kids. I think Chris Bredesen, who used to be on my surf team, God, now he's got kids winning contests. Makes me feel like a dinosaur, but Chris would agree, and a lot of other people would, that Wally deserves some consideration. So anyway, Hog, keep up the great work. Just get out of bed in the morning. You're doing good.
Greg Knoll's hard act to follow, so here I go. I'm Don McPherson. In 1962, we moved next door to the Hogans in Manhattan Beach. I first met Bob when screaming obscenities. He leapt over the fence and frantically started wiping down my old rusty VW Bug. And I kind of treated him gingerly. I asked the problem, and Bob built a 32-foot catch in the backyard, and spray from bottom painting had drifted over, gotten on the car, and the color matched the rust, so it was okay with me. I didn't care. Being a young aerospace engineer from Ohio, I didn't know what to make of Bob. In 1963, he teamed on the winner of the National Lifeguard Championships, and eventually got his name on the Taplin Trophy 7 times for first place finishes, which is an incredible accomplishment. He eased me into his, for a Midwesterner like me, he was an alien. I'd never met anybody like him before. He eased me into his world by having me crew with him in Carroll Ocean Racing, a 46-foot wooden boat. On one race around San Nicolas Island, we sailed into a ferocious storm. Daybreak found us in real trouble. Huge waves pounded the island in our lee, a quarter mile or half a mile away. The boat had sprung a big leak, which we really struggled to pump. Gear broke without let up, and frankly, I expected to die. I really did. The skipper, Doc Levin, wore a walking cast because he had a broken ankle. And if we went into the water, Bob vowed to take Doc through that horrendous surf. I'd become a basket case. I was scared to death. But Bob, all he thought of was Doc. And that motivated me to keep the boat afloat. And I pumped my butt off for 70 miles back to LA Harbor. In 1967, Bob launched the Catch Discovery. And with Carol and the kids, sailed away to the South Seas. Along the way, he surfed Baja, Mexico, Central America, the Galapagos, Easter Island, Tahiti, and the Marquesas. Finishing up in Hawaii, he surfed all those islands from one end to the other. During their 3 decades in Hawaii, Bob operated a shipwright's shop while portraying his special world as a commercial artist in painting and wood carving. It was one of his more incredible accomplishments in my mind. And I have an example here. This is Humphrey, the humpback whale, and I'm lucky to be his caretaker. To this day, Bob has maintained his active lifestyle. In 1981, at age 50, he, with Carol and me, bicycled across the United States, so from Portland to Boston, Massachusetts. We, shortly afterwards, he and Carol competed in the Hawaii Ironman, the granddaddy of all triathlons. They did that twice, and they participated in other triathlons through the island. For nearly a half a century, Bob raced paddleboards. In 1955, as you've been told, he founded the Catalina Classic, 32 miles from Two Harbors, Catalina, to the Manhattan Pier, for which the Manhattan Beach Chamber of Commerce awarded him their annual Rose and Scroll, an award for outstanding civic accomplishment. It's amazing that a surfer can do that. 40 years later, in 1995, the Catalina Classic Association invited Bob back at age 63 for a reprise. The race started from Two Harbors before sunup. Providing his escort boat, we stayed offshore as the paddlers stream passed, clad only in shorts against a chilly murk. The racers dwindled to occasionally one or two. Then finally, out of the darkness on the Black Sea, dead last, Bob stroked by without a word. At the tail end of the pack, I nudged the throttle forward, and I thought, 32 miles to go. Oh boy. During the next 7 hours and 44 minutes, Bob methodically passed one by one the faltering younger crowd. He finished down there at the Manhattan Pier to blaring horns from a flotilla led by the Baywatch, cheering crowds on the pier and on the beach. He placed 7th out of 15th in the stock paddleboard race and 29th out of 41 finishers. Incredible. And for that he received a plaque, the Waterman's Waterman. When living in Hawaii, Bob built the second boat, starting from a bare 45-foot hull glassed in the Seattle area. In 2000, he and I sailed the second Discovery from Kona to her ancestral home, Puget Sound. To best characterize the 21-day voyage, we finished really short on water. The diesel was sucking on empty tanks, but we didn't even come close to finishing off the beer and wine. I frequently wonder, okay, what is he going to get me into next? Well, this is it. I have the privilege of introducing Bob Hogan, the ultimate Waterman's Waterman.
Well, thank you very much for all coming down for the ceremony today, and I can tell you right off that this is without a doubt the greatest honor of my entire life and of my surfing career, and I really am honored, and I would like to thank everybody that was responsible for my being here from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Really an honor to be here, and I'm glad so many members of my own family could be here, and I'm very honored that so many of my old friends are here, and I really humbly thank all of you for being here, and I thank the Surfers Walk of Fame for having me here today. Thank you.
The good mayor and Steve Cannell are going to present the plaque to Bob, and took Bob and Carol about 4 years of partying to get their boat out of the backyard. I was a young lifeguard in those days, and every year after the chaplain they'd have a party up at their place, a fundraiser to help them launch the thing. It was going to be a one-year event that ended up being about 5, but a great adventure. I had the honor of, I've known Bob for an awfully long time. I worked as a Los Angeles County lifeguard, one of the junior lifeguards here in the early 50s, and I paddled a Catalina paddleboard race in 1960, and Bob was kind enough to loan me his 14-foot stock paddleboard in that thing. I don't know if I should thank him at this point or not for that paddle, but he was instrumental in a lot of changing and influencing an awful lot of young people in our South Bay area's lives. Put them together. Bob Hogan, ladies and gentlemen. Our second presenter to give us some information and background of our second 2009 inductee, Don Craig, is one of the charter members, 2002 inductee as a charter member into the Surfers Walk of Fame, Mike Purpus. Mike? While Mike makes his way up here, probably the best surfer ever produced in the South Bay.
Thanks, Jim.
Go Perp!
Hey, I love this place. This is Surf City, not Huntington, not Santa Cruz. That's just a bunch of bullshit. It all started here. And I want to thank Greg Knoll for showing up today. He's awesome. Don Craig and I idolize that guy, and kids today don't have a clue of what it's like to ride big waves. And Greg Knoll did it all. When you get towed in with a surf ski and you have a surf leash and you have lifeguards on surf skis and jet skis and all that crap out in the water, you're not riding big waves. And Greg Knoll's out there, you're paddling in the thing, monsters that are bigger than telephone poles that are about 20 yards thick, and you're playing let's make a deal with a lifeguard to see if he'll come out and get you or not if you're in trouble. And then all of a sudden, if you're lucky, the helicopter shows up. If you're halfway on the Riptide, halfway to Molokai, and you're playing let's make a deal with a helicopter to lower the basket and have you fly back to the beach, man. And Greg Knoll is the guy that started it all. Don Craig and I really idolize that guy. Anyways, Don and I go so far back, it's amazing. Our first surf pictures were cave drawings. That's how back. In fact, Don and I were in the same kindergarten class together at North School. Don's the only guy I ever slept with. Nap time in kindergarten. Don and I were already burnt out from surfing before school anyway, so it was an easy job. We didn't care. Lunchtime, we'd spend puka hunting in the sandbox. We had a blast. But anyways, nowadays, Don, every time Don falls asleep on the beach, the lifeguards put those endangered species signs around him. When he wakes up, little kids are trying to drag him back in the water and set him free. The lifeguard's cussing out the little kids because Don's caught in a rip, waving to them, going, "Get me out of this riptide and I'll give you a free t-shirt." And the lifeguard thinks, well, I've already got a dozen of them. I don't know if I'm going to go get them or not. But anyways, Don and I went to North School together at kindergarten. Then went to North School, grade school, then on a surfing scholarship, made it to Pier Avenue Junior High, where we surfed with some of the best surfers in the South Bay, Billy Ray James, Drew Harrison, Alfred Laws, John Baker, Mike Stevenson, and Don and I had our own little crew, Mark Roberts and Sparky Hudson. We were like surfing's answer to Leave It to Beaver. Anyway, Sparky was Eddie Haskell. If your parents caught you talking to the guy, you were grounded for a week. Because he'd talk you into doing something bad every day. But anyways, one thing about Don, you can't say anything bad about him. The guy's a great surfer and a great human being and a great friend. And everybody wanted to be his buddy because his father was the president of San Onofre Surf Club. And his dad built the first surfing Winnebagos out of an old Helms truck. And every other weekend, Don could invite one friend to go with him down to San Onofre. So we all were like brown-nosing Don all week long in high school to be that one friend so we could go surf San Onofre all weekend. Back then, you had to be a member of the San Onofre Surf Club to get in. And Don and I, the most fun in the world was just surfing San Onofre with Don because we paddled all these little different reef breaks off the side. and it was just surfing in its purest form, oily glassy, just your friends out having the most fun all day, surfing until you couldn't even move anymore, getting sunburned to hell like a barbecue potato chip, and then Don's mom would have lunch ready, but we'd surf right through it, you know, all day on the beach, and then the next day come back and do it again. But one thing about Don never got worked at being a good surfer, because ever since I've known Don, he was already a good surfer. All the other guys like Mike Stevenson, Outlaws, John Baker, Sparky, myself, we had to work at being a good surfer. Don, every time he went out, from the time I first went surfing with him, he was already a good surfer. And the guy was so smooth, he was like a cross between Ricky Irons and Rich Chu at the same time. And it looked like he was sleepwalking every time he was surfing, just gliding across the waves, standing on the nose, nodding out, going across the best waves I've ever seen. But anyways, Don Craig is a good friend, a good person, a great human being, a really nice guy, and I'm happy to say he's one of my friends. Here he is, Don Craig.
All those were lies. Well, 50 years ago, in 1958, I stood right in this very spot and I received this award. It was for the Hawaiian Parade. I got first place. And I hung on to this thing all these years. Started off probably my first 50 years ago. Going to Pier Avenue last night was kind of a remembrance as well. Probably 50 years ago, almost to the day, we saw Greg Knoll's first film, Search for Surf. So going to Pier Avenue was just like really a treat to be there with everybody else, and you know, to see all these friends of mine that I haven't seen in years and years, and to have all my friends come. And I've got friends here from down San Clemente, from Newport Beach, my friends Chris Bredesen and Dale Dickey, who are inductees here on the pier, thanks to Mike and everything too as well. I was so lucky to grow up the son of a surfer. My dad made all of our first surfboards here, right over here on 19th Street in our garage. Ross McAdam, who's in the fourth row here, drew pictures on our first surfboards. I still have one of them. I'm going to have to bring it down to the beach and show it to him one day. Ross still comes down and surfs with us at San Onofre all the time. So it's really a pleasure to surf with him. When we were young and after my dad started making our surfboards and stuff, Dewey Weber was working for Velzy, and he was lifeguarding right at the end of our street on 19th Street. My brother and I ended up being his beach runners. We'd go to the green store for him and pick up his lunch and kind of warn him when the lifeguard jeep was coming down the beach so he could get the girls out of the tower. And he made our first production boards. We paid $83.50 for them, which was pretty amazing. And from then on, we just started trading surfboards. Right after that, Dewey moved out of the area, and Bing moved in just across the street on 20th Court. And Bing saw my brother and I surf, and he goes, "Hey, I want you guys riding my boards." So he took us up to the factory, and he goes, "Pick out a board." I went down this row of like 40 boards, picked out one I liked, and that was my new board. Later on, the surf team thing kind of came into fashion, and I was asked to be on Hap Jacobs' surf team. So I was on Jacobs' surf team in the early and middle 60s. And that was really an honor as well. I really respect and have, I'm really thankful that those guys were so generous back in those days to give us all those surfboards and, have faith in us. So to this day, I'm still trying to sell their boards for them. I wanted to say that God, I've been so lucky and led such a blessed life, growing up the son of a surfer and living the surf lifestyle. I've got a lot of people here to thank. First off, I'd like to say thank you to my wife, Robbie, and my mom, who are both here. My mom was such a trooper back in the day, like Mike said. Always taking good care of us down at the beach. And, preparing all of our meals, making sure we were fed. We got to bed okay. Had our stuff that we needed for the beach all the time. I mean, God, we were always traveling down to San Onofre, and like Mike said, we'd take a couple of friends with us once in a while, and they just thought that was nirvana. It was really cool. But I wanted to say thank you very much to Whitney Guild for the nomination for this induction. I'm really honored. Whitney couldn't be here today, but he's here in spirit, and he is also an inductee on the pier as well. To all the judges who gave me their blessing, I'm very, very honored to be up here and to be with a lot of my friends. To my son Tyler, he's here. He's actually probably setting something up. Oh, here he is here in the front row. He came up and he's actually working with one of the bands up here today. Again, thanks to Dewey Weber, to Bing Copeland, to Hap Jacobs for sponsoring me as a surfer and believing in me. That was really great. I've also worked in the surf industry over the last about 30 years. I started off, I was Quicksilver's very first rep. I went on to start Rip Curl wetsuits in the United States. Did that for probably 8 or 10 years. Went on to O'Neill Wetsuits, was their promotional director, handled all their contractual athletes. So I got to deal with some of the top surfers in the world, from the Rabbit Bartholomew's to the Kelly Slaters to the Tom Currans, Tommy Carroll, Martin Potter, Sean Thompson, just all those great names that you see in the magazines. I got to work with those guys, and they're all great surfers and great individuals. I also want to say thank you so much to all the retailers that I've worked with over the years, and that have believed in me and worked with me on all the products that I've represented and stuff, from Spider Surf Shop, who's putting on this event downtown here today, Becker's, Pier Surf, Surf Concepts, ET Surf Shop, and especially Dive and Surf and their family as well. Really respect all of them, and I really appreciate all the business that they've given me over the years and kept me, in the industry. And hey, who gets to go around dressing like this every day? Pretty darn lucky. I also want to thank all the people that I've competed with over the years, from John Baker to Mike Purpose, Alfred Laws, Sparky Hudson, Drew Harrison, Chris Bredesen, Daryl Dickey. They're both back here. You see John Horn sitting here in the audience. God, I'm just really, really honored to be up here and very thankful to be a part of the Hermosa Beach Walk of Fame. And I wanted to thank the committee for both the museum and for the Walk of Fame. I'm really, really honored. And for the mayor to come down here, boy, that's amazing. So thank you so much. Keep my plaque.
Got some photo ops here for those of you who would wish to do that. I think they'd like you in front of the Tim Kelly, Don, guys. Don makes an interesting comment I want to expand upon just very briefly. He says he's led a blessed life. You get back what you give out, and Don and Bob Hogan are getting some of that back that they've given out the most of their life to the surf community and the community at large. It's called karma. I used to run Jacobs surfboards many, many years ago, and Don was a member of the surf team, and one of the really smooth surfer, not a self-promoter. He just went out in the water and was the best on the foot of his street, which in Hermosa in those days was chock-a-block full of outstanding surfers. And he was one of the premier guys around. Gentlemen at all times. Your family should be very, very proud of you, as we are. Don Craig, ladies and gentlemen. You're good. I think the flashlights are gone. Your 15 minutes of fame, buddy. You got it, Don. Thank you very much. A pleasure to know you, my friend. I would like to introduce a gentleman who is a member of the Surfers Walk of Fame, JJ, John Joseph, who this year brought to the city of Hermosa Beach the first ever surf championships, an interscholastic, that's high school surf competition, was held out here this morning involving schools from up and down the coast, including Palos Verdes, Maricosta, Redondo, Ventura, Santa Barbara, Los Alamitos, Sage Hill, which is a new school down in South Orange County, as well as Edison High School down in Huntington Beach. We put that thing together. John, come and give us some information about that. Thank you so much for doing that, and once again, more recognition that Hermosa Beach is a place to surf.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, this is the 16th year of the South Bay Surf League. We had 14 high school teams this year. One thing, we've been here a while. I'm only going to be 2 or 3 minutes, so we can get out to the party shortly. I just want to thank all of our judges and the city of Hermosa Beach for helping us with this event. Hermosa Beach deserves a state championship. I mean, we're the original surf city. As Jim said earlier, Huntington Beach and Santa Cruz came after us. Those of you that were around here in the 50s and 60s know what Pacific Coast Highway was like. It was amazing with all the shops here. So this is the original surf city. With that being said, I'd like to get started with our team championships, and we're very fortunate. The first annual High School Surfing Championships of California, presented by the city of Hermosa Beach. Our runner-up team would be South Torrance High School and their coach Lee MacArthur. Lee. And we have our first annual California State High School Surfing Championship team from the Palos Verdes Peninsula, Palos Verdes High School, and Coach Kurt Lantz. Kurt, congratulations. We just have a couple individual awards for our top surfers from the high school season this year. And presenting the women's honorees today is probably the most well-known name in the history of women's surfing, other than Gidget, Holly Beck, our own Holly Beck from Palos Verdes.
I just want to say thank you to John Joseph for running these contests over the years. I mean, he put on the very first contest that I ever surfed in. I got second place, and it just built up the drive to continue competing and definitely got me addicted to the sport. So thank you so much for all you've done over the years. And I just want to introduce two of the girls who, you know, you see a lot of girls surfing, the whole Blue Crush thing, and you know, in the summertime there'll be girls walking down the beach with their surfboards, or when the water's warm you see a few of them paddling out. But unfortunately there's only a handful that really stick to it and actually become true surfers. And I have 4 younger sisters that surf but aren't really surfers. And fortunately there's a couple of girls in the South Bay that I've had the awesome opportunity to take under my wing, and they are Lisa Tuttle. Come on up here. She's a really strong surfer. She loves to compete. She gets super aggressive in the water, rides a shortboard and a longboard really well. And I actually took her to Hawaii this year in January and encouraged her to paddle out in pretty solid Holly Eva. She got completely smashed and came in smiling and went out for more. So definitely honored to be able to present this award to you, Lisa. And also Natalie Anzavino. I'm sure at least 90% of you have seen her. You've seen a girl with blonde hair riding her bike along from Walteria to Manhattan Pier in the morning before school and after school. That was her. She's super dedicated and yeah, great surfer and surfing in the NSSA. And yeah, these girls are awesome. So older boys, you see them in the water, cut them some slack, give them some waves. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Congratulations, ladies. Just 2 more awards. Is Joe here from Maricosta? We have our Ironman Award for the South Bay Surf League. We have 14 high school teams. We had 69 competitions this year. And our outstanding surfer point leader-wise is Dayton Silva from Maricosta High School. He has a prior commitment up in Rincon this weekend, so he couldn't be here. So accepting on behalf of Dayton Silva from Maricosta is his coach, Joe. And lastly, we have our most valuable male surfer of the year from Maricosta High School. He's been a 4-year competitor. He has the most league titles of any surfer in history of the league. I think he has, what, 6? I think 6 league titles, more than Bredesen, more than Junior. So I'd like to bring Brent Bowen up here, please. Brent, Maricosta High School. When I have an event, whether it's an individual event or a team event, I'm normally the first one on the beach here, 6 in the morning. Brent's already down checking the waves, looking, helping me out. He's an amazing individual, and he's also probably one of the best high school surfers we've ever produced. And that goes along with Purpus or Drew or Donnie Craig when they were in high school. So that's saying quite a lot. I want to thank you all again. Tomorrow we're having the individual finals. People surf through the team event today into an individual finals tomorrow. and that'll be going on from 8 to 11. And again, I want to thank the city and Greg Knoll for coming down. The first job I ever got in the industry was with Greg when I was 17 as a shop salesman up here on Pier Avenue. And about 6 months later, I got my draft notice. So, anyway, thank you all for being here, and we'll see you at the beach tomorrow. And I want to thank Spider. This is a great production that they're putting on. I hope most of you can stick around. Jim?
Thank you, John Joseph. Just a couple of closing remarks. First off, thank you all so very, very much for being here. And I was a bit remiss earlier. I want all those folks, those inductees whose plaques are on the pier, to please stand up and be recognized by the community. I wanted to thank you all for being here. I'd like to invite you all to view the Walk of Fame out on the pier here. The new plaques are down already, and we invite you to take a look and see the names and the plaques of those individuals who are inducted. My name is Jim Graham. It's been an honor to be here. Born and raised here, and my heart's in Hermosa Beach, and it's a very bitchin' place to be.
Thank you, Jim.
That Rick Koning's a bad influence. He's a bad influence. Oh my God. I can't remember that far back.
If we can get a picture of all of those of you who are...
Hello, how are you?
The Walk of Fame.
Bobby Orcola. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, what's up, brother?
How are the twins?
Oh, man, they're so big.
Are they like huge? Taffy Claus! Taffy Claus! Charge this guy double.
All right.
I'll throw in the extra $2. Good. Yeah, I'm down. I've videoed every single one of these. Oh, have you? Yeah. Historical document, very important. Unless it's like a reunion. Huh? It's just like it's a reunion. It's great. Smile! Aloha! How about Shaka? Shaka! Woo! Shaka! One more, let's get another one. Here's Shaka. Shaka! 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 Incredible event, incredible.
There you go. Then hold up your class.
Brent, will you quit growing? They ain't getting tall.
Nice. Good. Nice. And one more right there. Good. Thank you.
Scary. Scared me, man. I haven't hit my head in 30 years. Perfect.
I don't want to see a lawyer here. I tell you, you can't do that anymore.
I'm sure you can.
Well, it's something we can't do in the real world. In the real world.
In public.
Yeah.
In public.
Yeah.
We're just looking to sue people. They're all